Hello and welcome, one and all, to another episode, or another episode review of Kamen Saber. We are seeing the debut of Toma's final form in Cross Saber. I'll talk about that towards the very end of the episode because I have to go over the episode in general. And yeah, this is basically the final form debut episode. So sit back, relax, and really, you can just podcast this thing because that's generally what I do as we talk about this episode. Alright, so the episode picks up almost immediately where the last one left off. Everyone's basically trying to figure out what they're going to do now because Master Logos basically Thanos snapped a good part of the city. Like, the city is basically gone, and he's about to do the entire world. The entire world is about to be erased and maybe rewritten according to Master Logos' will. Or Isaac's will, getting used to that still. And everyone's trying to figure out what exactly that means and how to stop him. Except for Toma, because he's still worried about Kento. So basically everyone says, don't worry about us. We'll go distract Isaac. You go to Kento. Maybe convince him to join our side so that we can have a united front against Master Logos. I did it again. I mean, they still call him Master Logos in this episode, despite the fact that he renounced that title. So, yeah. Anyway, Toma goes to see Kento, and Kento's very, very confused about what he wants to do now because he wants to save the future in Toma, but he doesn't want to work alongside Toma because he doesn't want Toma to sacrifice himself for the world. He's very confused about what he wants. Toma gives him a friendship speech as well as gives him back Ikazuchi, so we do know that he will be returning back as Espada in later episodes, which feels weird because Caliber is technically stronger than Espada, so you'd think he'd want to be in a stronger form, especially because it's so late in the series. I don't think we're going to be able to give Espada a new form to keep up in the terms of the power scaling, but he's basically going to be a C-tier rider in the series with, how many riders are we at this point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he's going to be a C-tier rider in a series with 12 riders that are all active at the same time. I mean, one will be dropping out this episode, but still, it feels like he really should. He feels like he really should stay either stay as Caliber or have a new form that combines the powers of Espada and Caliber. But semantics. I mean, they could sell more toys with that, but you know what? Semantics. Anyway, so Toma goes to Kento, gives him his friendship speech, gives him back Ikazuchi, and then the little bird that's been following Kento around for the past few episodes that might be Tassel or Tassel's essence hits Ikazuchi and drags Kento into a dream world where he sees his dad again. His dad gives him another speech, tells him he's proud of him, and it also a really sweet moment. It's honestly a pretty touching moment because Kento and Rentaro are the better written characters in this show, in my personal opinion. But even better written than Toma is. And once Kento got over his whole daddy issue thing, he was a lot better of a character. But still, that part of him never actually left. Like, I didn't want it gone. I just wanted it to be less emphasized and not brought up every episode that he has daddy issues. And now he's finally getting the resolution to those daddy issues. That's just that, basically, this whole I love you, son, that kind of thing. But here's the question. He mentions that he was saved by the Guardian of Wonderworld, who basically sealed him away in a way. Is this really Kento's dad, or is it Tassel fucking with them using his power? Because we know Tassel was reduced to nothing by Master Logos, like fucking 10 episodes ago at this point, which is why he hasn't shown up yet. And we don't know the full extent of Tassel's powers, so maybe, potentially, this is Tassel pretending to be Kento's dad to give Kento the pep talk he needs to get back to the fight. That would be kind of fucked up if it is. I would really rather like to believe that it's, Kento's dad. But we don't have any evidence to prove it's not Tassel, and the only person who's been able to do this weird stuff, especially with the Dream World Forest thing, is Tassel. Like, maybe if we have, I don't know, fucking Daichi show up in a later episode, just because then maybe I can believe it's not Tassel. But at the moment, I'm just going to keep thinking maybe it's actually Tassel, maybe it's not. I don't know which. Anyway, while Toma's doing that with Kento, everyone else is basically pulling a Namek saga where they fight Frieza until Goku shows up. But Toma being Goku in this instance, because everyone's fighting Master Logos to try to buy time for Toma to show up. By everyone, I mean it starts off with our principal Swords of Logos cast, then Ren shows up because Disaster kind of smelled that shit was going on, and they showed up to fight, but then Storios tells Disaster, hey buddy, sit this fight out. Which feels weird for Disaster to suddenly start following orders from someone, considering that his whole goal up until he killed Daichi was to get his freedom, and how the other Megiddo commented on how they really can't control Disaster, as well as a standard Megiddo. So it makes me wonder why he would start listening to Storios unless Storios promised him something he's wanted, which maybe he did considering the stinger of this week's episode. Anyway, so and basically Ren shows up, fights, gets beaten back, everyone's beaten back, but then they're saved by the Shindai siblings, who still irritate me because they're flip-flopping. Like at first, they're all, we will follow Master Logos no matter what, and now it's like, we have our duty as swordsmen to defend the world. But I'm like, okay, I get that you guys were drinking the Swords Logos Kool-Aid, but if you're the secret cleaners of the organization, why did it take you until the dude was laughing maniacally about destroying the world to do something about that? Like, the red flags were everywhere, and none of this honor and chivalry shit was in your characters before this point. It feels like a weird character turn to give them a redemption arc, and I don't like it. It feels like they've just been turned away from what they were supposed to be, which was just like villain writers, to being somewhat explainable villains, but their explanation makes no damn sense, and I'm tired of them every time they try to be good, and I kind of wish they would just either kill one of them off, or at least kill the brother off, because Reika, as much as I don't want her to turn to a full good guy, considering I liked her better as a bad guy, at least she was showing, signs of turning good before the Master Logos reveal, because she had her own suspicions growing after seeing Zuos in Northern Base. So again, it feels weird for this to be their characters right now, but I guess they need an excuse for them to work alongside the others, at least for the big fights. But again, it feels weird. So they show up, they get beaten back. Then Toma shows up because, my friends are my power. And then Bach shows up because he's like, no guys, stop trying to distract Master Logos. I want the world to be erased. And so that leads to a quick fight between him and Toma, in which basically he goes off about that humanity is evil, it needs to be destroyed, and Toma talks about the good of humanity, and how, humans can suck, but at the same time they're all good. And it's a kind of hero speech you hear all the time, and I made a my friends are my power joke, but it honestly feels like that joke can be made 3 times in this episode, because it's around here that Kento joins the group, wielding both Ikazuchi and Caliber, which is really cool. And then Toma uses an attack that shouldn't work, and cuts into Bach in one hit, because even he's like, my immortal body, this shouldn't be happening. So basically, Toma, power to friendship, fuck the rules, I have God mods right now, which I'm not arguing is a bad decision. It's a fine visual thing, and I do like Bach's final scene. He says, hold on, he basically gives Toma his sword and tells him to fight for what he believes in a way. While not fully giving up what he believes in, he was hinting at showing signs of potentially changing, at least in his own subtle ways, which is fine. So Bach is finally taken out, and so everyone has all the swords are gathered officially under one person, aka Toma, with the united will of stopping Master Logos, who decides to begin Third Impact and erase the world. So it turns to night because all the cool scenes happen at night, and then all the swords glow because they're all united in will to stop Master Logos, and the bird comes back and turns into a human, and Kento gives it Calibur's sword, and then okay, so the part is kind of that part was the only weird part, but this part's really cool. Toma, and basically everyone throws their swords into the air, or at least their swords are all pulled into the air. They go up into space and they combine all their powers to form a new sword. This sword being the, I'm going to mess this pronunciation up, so please don't hate me for mispronouncing this thing. Houken Cross Saber, or Houken Cross Saber, which is Toma's sword for the final form. And I'm going to talk about this at the end of the episode, or towards the end, because I'm going to have a long talk about final forms. But for the episode plot, Toma gets the sword and uses it to access his final form, Cross Saber, again saving that whole speech for the second part of this video, or last part of this video. And Toma wipes the floor of Max Logos and uses his power to also restore the city that was destroyed with Max Logos and the world. He also does a lot of the whole final form debut things of using power that he might never show again in the rest of the series. Like, this seems too overpowered for him to be able to let him keep doing it. Because, like, Max Logos summons a bunch of, like, the King of Arthur mechas, but recolors of them, based on his own recolor of King of Arthur's sword. And Toma just wipes the floor with them with combinations of the different other swords, like summoning Buster's power, and then followed by quickly summoning Kento's power and Ikuzuchi. Like, he's not summoning the power of the rider, he's summoning the power of the sword. So kind of like how Elemental Dragon had the different elemental abilities, but in this case, it's Toma using this kind of like a Decade Complete style version of the sword. Like, he summons not the actual version, but a holographic version of that sword he's using in order to use it in combat. And that's honestly kind of cool. It's hard to explain, but kind of cool. Anyway, they beat Max Logos, restore the city, and everyone's cheering. The Shindai siblings fuck off because they still don't want to join the good guys, despite the fact that, you know, it would be beneficial to your goal of axing the dude you want to kill to join up with them because they have basically the same goal as you. And then for the stinger of the episode, Bach's sword, you know, the sword of nothingness, that they really should have kept a closer eye on, is snatched up by it's snatched up by, why am I blanking on his name? I literally just said it a minute ago. It's snatched up by Disaster. Why did I take so long to remember Disaster's name when I said it a minute ago? Well, like 10 minutes ago in terms of this episode length. Anyway, Disaster, or at least we see his hand taking the sword, and you'd think he would have learned from the Caliber incident about how he lost Sword of Darkness. That people stop giving Toma swords because he's gonna keep losing your sword. This happened with Caliber. That was happening again with Fulchin. Oh god. And that ends the episode. And now let's talk about Final Forms, because oh boy, this has been a debate going on since it was revealed. Let me sum up the general episode thoughts before I get into the thick. Overall, the episode itself, pretty good. This is probably one of my favorite few episodes in the past couple of episodes of Saber. Again, this would be a very high moment if Saber was a better written series, but this is like lower mid considering it's Saber. Or, no, not lower mid, higher mid considering it's Saber. And Saber is a pretty mid series, and so this episode in particular gets higher mid because, you know, mid series, but really great moment in a pretty mid series. I like that Kento finally got resolution to his whole daddy issues arc. I'm happy that it wasn't brought up as much in the later half since, you know, the whole Caliber, since he became Caliber. I'm happy that we got resolution to Bacht. Like, the whole Toma God modding him was kind of weird, but ultimately it was pretty cool. You can make a whole he literally beat the depression out of him joke, but he really didn't, because, you know, Bacht still held at least a little bit true to his beliefs that humans are scum, but he was starting to open up a little bit more and accept that maybe people can change and grow and become better. And I really like the moment before he dies where he looks at Yuri and then sees May in the background and looks more at her. Like, that's a callback to last week's episode in a moment that was really weird, but kind of good. it was weirdly good to me. It felt weird. It was honestly kind of weird, but it was still a good callback and a good moment for Bach's character. I'm happy that he had that resolution. I'm happy Kento has a resolution and that they finished up his arc and that he's back with the team. I'm happy that, plot lines are being wrapped up. Ren is here. It makes me wonder, is Ren going to return to the good guys in next episode, or is she still going to be the lost child of the group? But I don't really care that much about Ren. I honestly think he should have been killed off a while ago, or become a Megado, or something. Like become some kind of half Megado rider or something. I don't know. Maybe Disaster will become that. Although it would be funny, cause I think I said this on Twitter already. It would be funny if Disaster got Falchion, got the driver for Falchion, and he doesn't turn to the rider. He just gets an upgraded monster suit, where he just has the sword and maybe the driver or the ride book, but he doesn't become Falchion, or at least he doesn't turn into Falchion, but just gets an upgraded monster suit, which I would be fine with that, but it just would be funny. But he has the sword now. I wonder if that's going to tie into Storios' plans, considering the fact that he's basically been not appearing for the last good few episodes. Again, he's been building up to something, and we don't know what that is. So hopefully that'll get some resolution pretty soon. Because again, Storios is very much seeming like the final boss, and Master Logo says Solomon is the pre-final boss. Sort of like a Chronos situation, but instead of like Chronos, struggling with power and like combining himself with Game Deus to steal the rank of final boss from everyone else for the series final fight. I think Master Logos is just gonna be axed by Storios when he finds him no longer useful, and just steals the final boss role and gets an upgraded monster form. But anyway, episode higher mid tier overall. Fine, it was fun. I liked it. I liked the episode in general. I like the characters still, for the most part. There's some parts I don't like. I like the person being wrapped up and all that kind of stuff. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode in Cross Saber. Now, Cross Saber has been controversial since the magazine scans came out. I want to say a few days ago, because it was like a few weeks ago it came out, because we get the magazine scans every month for the next month's batch of episodes to give the reveals about new toys and stuff like that. And this was one of them, and it was controversial because Cross Saber is kind of just a recolor of Brave Dragon. Now, I say kind of, it basically is a recolor of Brave Dragon. So that brought up a lot of controversy in the fan base. Like, apparently the Japanese fan base was also pretty controversial about this whole decision. But Toei came up with an explanation for this in two parts. One part was, I don't know who said this, but it might have been a Toei official, basically saying that Reiwa was going to be the generation of simpler final forms, which 02 in the last season was 01. That was a very simple final form, and I kind of like it. I like 02 a lot more than Cross Saber, in all honesty, because its look is different, but also similar. Like, it's a very different look than regular 01, but cool in its own way. But here's the thing, I like the abilities of Cross Saber a lot more than 02. Not just because it has this whole weird rewrite reality or repair reality ability. I mean in terms of what the suit can do, in terms of power. So, I'm kind of, again, not doing 01 episodes is just going to be the bane of my existence until I eventually get to that 01 episode of Dark Library that I want to do in like 3 years. But back when 02 was first announced and it was premiering, I had thought that 02 was going to be able to utilize the other progress keys to access their abilities in different subforms. Like 02 would be the main final form, and then like it could just like pop in Blazing Tiger and use like an enhanced Blazing Tiger form. or maybe they make a new key for Blazing Tiger. I didn't want them to, but I was just thinking, hey, it would be cool if, so that way the older progress keys didn't lose relevance. You still have them. The toys are still viable. You can basically bump up new sales for the old toys, especially because 02 was a new attachment to the driver, and the show was a whole new driver instead of just another random toy or something that you use to transform, like the Genius Bottle or the Hyper Muteki attachment thing. It wasn't called a gas jet because you attached Hyper Muteki gas jet onto the basically the Super Mario Brothers boot of X8 power ups. Or to use the non X8, what was the season before X8? Our Ghost is Infinite Mugen. It was another toy that you put into the belt to unlock the sound stuff, being an attachment to the belt that would unlock sounds, or in Saber's case, a completely new sword to the belt. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of like this new generation of Final Form acquired, ways to get the Final Form, because while some of them were cool, it got kind of ridiculous. As much as I like Genius, I don't like the Genius Bottle because I felt it was just too bulky with the build belt, and yeah, it just felt too weird on the build belt. And then when you add all the other attachments, you put the hazard trigger on there, and it feels very clunky. It feels like this thing is just going to fall off. like you all see Rentaro's Final Wonder Ride book, and you just look at that and be like, how does that thing not fall off the belt? And that's basically my thought when I look at the Genius Bottle, which is probably why I never bought it, despite having a build belt. It's not the bulkiness, because I also don't have the 02 one. Mainly because I decided to get the Arc Zero driver because evil. I like Evil Rider shit. Anyway, back to the main talking points. Yeah. Basically somewhere along the way, the forms just got, the item you needed for the form just got kind of bulkier and bulkier. And I kind of like this new way where you just have a piece of the belt that is either removed or added onto to make the new form. They just took off the one slide piece for the 02 belt and put on a new adapter piece, and then boom, 02. In this case, even simpler, new sword. Insert the new sword, boom, Cross Saber. I really like that. I honestly do. But my main issue with Cross Saber is this a recolor. Now, back to what I said before I started going off on this still long rant. I had thought 02 would have side forms to the final form that would be accessed for the other progress keys. Cross Saber is actually doing that. Not new forms, but recolors of the previous forms to make, enhance their powers or whatever. We have already seen a full combo Cross Saber. That's in an episode preview, and different full combo Cross Sabers, and I am down for that. I kind of we haven't seen Cross Saber used with any of Toma's other power ups, like a Emotional Dragon Cross Saber or Draconic Knight Cross Saber, which I really want Draconic Knight Cross Saber, if only because of my love for Draconic Knight. Although I doubt that will happen, because that just sounds really cool, like Draconic Knight Cross Saber. Just the picture of that looks so fucking cool. But again, my biggest disappointment with Cross Saber is that it's basically a recolor. Now, I do know explanation. I have read the design notes, and I do feel for the plight of the production staff. I feel a part of this is because Toei has slashed the budget for the final part of its Kamen Rider Saber and taken that money to put towards a new Tyson movie, which it feels really weird. This is now. It's a little sad that Kira Major isn't running right now. Not to say that Zenkaiser is bad. Zenkaiser is okay. I really don't like Kaito that much. I like the Kikunoids a lot. Talking about Sentai. But considering Cross Saber's look and, the Kira Majors, that would have been a perfect crossover. it feels like such waste opportunities. It's like how Drive feels like it should have crossed over with the train, not with the train Sentai. Not Yeah, it feels like it should have crossed over with the train Sentai, not the Ninja Sentai, and how Gaim should have crossed over with the Ninja Sentai and not the train Sentai. Like because vehicles and ancient Japanese stuff. Although that means Gaim will have to deal with a ninja who are annoying as sin, so maybe a different ninja Sentai. Hurricaneer? Maybe? How's Japanese ninjas how's Japanese Ninja Storm? I haven't watched Hurricaneer. I've only watched Ninja Storm, and I honestly rank it as one of my favorite Power Ranger seasons. Anyway, back to Cross Saber. Overall, I'm going to say I really like Cross Saber. Because it's a pretty cool looking suit. I like its motif. I'm a sucker for space motifs. Probably why Forza is one of my favorite seasons. I look forward to this new era of more subtle Final Forms, if only because as much as I love Final Forms, some of them are very overdesigned. Here's looking at you, Cosmic States. Cosmic States, I love you. I love your insert song, but you are overly designed, even though I love you so much. Uh, Definitely still better than Fusion States, though, because, oh god, Fusion States. Oh god, what are they going to make Toma's movie form look like now I think about it? uh, anyway, I like Cross Saber. I like its abilities. It's basically a kind of enhanced version of Elemental Dragon, which already had some pretty cool abilities. I want to see Toma use the different forms, different upgrade forms, not just the base Wonder Ride books. With this, I also have a question. So we see Toma get the new sword, but we don't know where Reika went. Like Toma picks up the new Hoken and he uses that, but all the swords return to their sword wielders, but not Reika. So did Reika become this sword? Did it transform into this sword? Because it didn't seem to come back. Is it just floating around in space right now? Uh, it'll be funny. It's also a basic question: will Toma ever use the base suits again? Because even with final forms, like the rider will still use his or her base, mostly his base suit, especially in terms of movies and other stuff. Because the base suit is the mascot for the series in itself. Like if you see advertisement, you're going to see 01 advertised on advertisements, not 02. You only see 02 advertised to sell 02 specifically. So I wonder, will Toma just have like two swords now that he carries around, just up the butt or something? Uh, just Toma just clenching the whole time. Is Reika gone? Is that going to be a plot point? Probably not. Probably just going to be dismissed. It's probably just going to be sitting in a corner at Northern Base somewhere. Or Toma will just be able to summon his two swords separately, like he's fucking Thor or something with Mjolnir. Oh, can Toma dual wield his two swords? Because he has the Hilken and he still has Reika. Could he dual wield the two swords together to unlock his movie form? Question mark. Still sad that Rentaro, despite being Blades, never gets a form that lets him use two swords at once. It's like, come on, guys. He literally has the plural in his name. I brought that up again because that was what I said at the beginning of the series. I wanted him to have a form that lets him dual wield. Still no dual wield. Disappointed. But questions for another day that can only be answered in the show and our eventual summer movie, which I think the summer movies might be getting rescheduled now to winter. I don't know. They've announced the movie, but I haven't, because normally by now we get at least one trailer for a movie, and it will start to be advertised in the show. It's still early July, so maybe if the movie is coming out, it's coming out. It's still early June, so if the movie is coming out in the summer, it will come out like later next month when the series is starting to wrap up, because the show has like 8 more episodes before it finishes, because the new series is coming out in September, so that means this show is going to end mid-August. It's either going to end mid-August or late August, unless they just run out of episodes. uh, but that is it for Saber. Again, I already gave episode final thoughts. I just gave final form thoughts. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Cross Saber and what exactly they plan to do with other Rider Final Forms going forward. I honestly do like the idea of an age of simpler Final Forms, but I do hope they just aren't like all going to just be recolors. Like, do something more like 02 and like make the differences more subtle if you have to. But make them subtle, make them obvious, as long as the whole suit isn't like fucking blowout. Like again, Cosmic States. I keep bullying you, Cosmic States. I love you. I love your henshin sounds. Speaking of henshin sounds, the crossover one is like almost a minute. Oh, also an insert song. Like, we haven't had another one of those in like I don't know how long in this show, but I'm happy to have a new insert song. That sounds pretty cool. I couldn't really hear all of it because, fight scene, but it sounded pretty cool. No spinning wheel, but still pretty cool. Speaking of spinning wheel, I think Eternal sings this one. But yeah, that's going to be it. Finally wrapping this up. This is a very long one. Again, that's why I said this is going to be all podcasty. And I will see everyone again next week for the next episode of Kamen Rider Saber. Until then, everybody, have yourselves a good day and or night whenever you watch this thing. Even if you don't get to this point. Good night, everybody.